Greetings, fellow moviegoers, and welcome to Movie Central, the place to talk about movies, TV shows based on movies, toys based on movies, games based on movies, and rides based on movies. I'm your host, Mr. CCS, and this is my best Gorilla George. Let's talk about one of the biggest events in the Marvel Universe, the Avengers Civil War. Released from 2006 to 2007, Civil War is a 7-part miniseries of comics revolving around the Marvel heroes within a huge battle due to the dangers that superheroes can cause, such as the destruction of cities and the deaths of innocents. The main factor on why this story was a huge success and was a great story was the fact that we have two sides fighting. One side refuses to work with the government, whilst the other accepts working with the government, which leads to a big battle spread across the pages of the comic. With this concept that readers enjoyed, the comic was a huge hit for Marvel, bringing it up against DC for a big emotional storyline, which continues with comics such as The Death of Captain America, released in 2007, and Dark Avengers, released in 2009. When Marvel started ruling the big screen in 2012 after the release of the Avengers, Marvel decided to continue their universe of heroes, announcing an additional 9 more movies in 2014, which would be the finale for several superheroes. The way this fantastic ending to this now so-called Infinity Saga began was with an adaptation of the Civil War comic, which not only shattered box office records, but was also a hit amongst critics. And that's what we're looking at today. This is Captain America Civil War. Marvel's Captain America Civil War finds Steve Rogers, played again by Chris Evans, leading the newly formed Avengers in their continued efforts to safeguard humanity. But after another incident involving the Avengers results in collateral damage, political pressure mounts to install a system of accountability headed by a government body to oversee direct the team throughout the world. The new status quo fractures the Avengers, resulting in 2 camps, one led by Steve Rogers and his desire for the Avengers to remain free, to defend humanity without government interference, and the other following Tony Stark's, played again by Robert Downey Jr., surprising decision to support government oversight and accountability, despite not doing that in Iron Man 2. What a story, am I right? I've got to say, this is one of the most complex in the MCU, but it is also one of my favorite in the franchise. So let's talk about what makes it so great, other than the great story. Let's talk about our heroes first, starting with Team Captain America. Steve Rogers continues his arc from Captain America the Winter Soldier as a stern leader who's trying to make the best for humanity he can for the others. That, of course, means going against the wishes of the government, which takes a lot of guts, and I have to commend Steve Rogers for doing this. Bucky Barnes, played again by Sebastian Stan, is still the fugitive of the group. So that means he's on the run, and he must get help from Captain America and the Avengers that refuse to sign these government's so-called Sokovia Accords. There's also a mortifying twist that involves Bucky and Tony Stark. I won't spoil it for those who have seen the movie, but just saying, you will be overwhelmed with emotion once you see the twist unfold. Wanda Maximoff, played again by Elizabeth Olsen, is struggling with how to be a hero without hurting anyone, as the beginning of the movie shows her accidentally killing a whole bunch of civilians. Even in her own show today, she's still struggling on how to be a hero and live with her life without hurting innocent people. Though I will say it was done better with writers like the Russo brothers. I'm sorry, I know that came out of nowhere, and I'm sorry to the fans of WandaVision here, but I just think the show needed to have better writers. Anyways, moving on. Sam Wilson, played again by Anthony Mackie, is there to be a helping hand and friend to Cap, which leads to his arc in his own TV show, which leads to him becoming Captain America by the end. Clint Barton, played again by Jeremy Renner, doesn't really continue his arc from Avengers Age of Ultron, where he struggles to be an Avenger or a family man. But he's still helpful when it comes to saving Wanda. And then there's Scott Lang, played again by Paul Rudd, who's just there to be the distraction of the group, though he is part of the best joke of the entire movie. I'll get there soon. Now we make it to Team Iron Man. Tony Stark continues his arc from Avengers Age of Ultron, where he is concerned with the safety of others and blames himself for the deaths of innocents. This is one of the reasons why I chose Team Iron Man personally. I get why others didn't, but I did, which is just my personal opinion. Natasha Romanov, played again by Scarlett Johansson, yeah, I know she's on Team Iron Man, is really there so she can help both Tony and Steve, which is brilliant. Rhodey Rhodes, played again by Don Cheadle, is on Tony's side for obvious reasons. He's part of the army and he's Tony's best friend, which explains everything. Vision, played again by Paul Bettany, which I surprisingly don't have photos of. I don't know why. I'm stalling. I feel like an idiot now. Uh-oh. Hey, overhead voice. Did I screw up? Yeah, I think you did. Okay, let me just continue on with the review. If Vision shows up, I apologize. Vision, played again by Paul Bettany, is just there to protect the innocent, including his love, Wanda Maximoff. Now we have the two new Avengers that join the team. T'Challa, aka Black Panther, played by the late great Chadwick Boseman, and Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, played by Tom Holland. T'Challa's took Stark's side due to the fact that Bucky Barnes may or may not have killed King T'Chaka or T'Challa's father, and Parker is here because Stark recruits him for extra strength and superpowers. While he's not my favorite version of Spider-Man, I still think that Tom Holland is a perfect representation of this awesome character, especially with his pop culture references and jokes, my favorite of which was his reaction to Giant Man during a great action sequence. Now for our villain, Baron Helmut Zemo, played by Daniel Bruhl, who is threatening and fearsome. Now my favorite version of this character is from the Avengers' Mightiest Heroes, but I still like Bruhl's portrayal of this character, especially after seeing him in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Okay, that was a lot for your brains to overload, so let's talk about the VFX. This film isn't very VFX heavy, surprisingly, as it features quite a bit of choreographed fight scenes, though the VFX are used to create Giant Man, the armors of Tony Stark and Rhodey, and especially the visual spectacle of the movie that I'll mention soon. The music was done by Henry Jackman, who is fast becoming one of my favorite composers, all thanks to this score. It can be fast and energetic, or it can be emotional and urgent, which means that he did a great job scoring this movie. Now we have our action scenes. Holy crap, there's a lot to uncover. From the opening scene in Lagos to the car chase in Germany to the final battle between Iron Man, Captain America, and Bucky Barnes, the action is awesome. But the best action scene in this movie by far is the airport sequence, due to the fact that it just looks like a moving comic book, which is one of the biggest strengths that the Marvel movies written and directed by the Russo brothers. But you'll see where I'm getting in that in future reviews. Now we have my final verdict. Captain America Civil War is not only the best Captain America movie, but one of the best films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With a fantastic story, great characters, fascinating visuals, stunning music, and thrilling action, this is one of the MCU movies that you need to see, which is why it earns a solid 10 out of 10, an action-packed spectacle that deserves to be watched. Well, that's it for this long review, and I'm sorry that I screwed up with Vision's picture. Blame overhead voice, shut up, Mr. CCS. Anyways, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below, and tune in next week when I take a look at the third film in the Harry Potter series. With that said, I'm Mr. CCS, this is Movie Central, and that, my friends, is a wrap. See you next week.